In 2025, we seen ICE come down hard. In 2026, it remains the same.
It wasn't a dream. It really happened.
Damn, the year just kicked off and we already getting it cracking. Now I know in Minnesota right now you got ICE agents coming down hard on the Somali community. The bullseye is on the Somalis right now. All of that scamming, all of that frauding, all of that finessing. That's some cultural stuff y'all got going on back home. They ain't coming over here and bringing it to the US. Somalis, y'all got to stop all of that scamming. Y'all feeling the heat right now. But listen, that's another story for another day. The ICE agents being on full alert, being on full go mode. Trump got them on go mode. They end up taking out one of their own. They end up taking out a white mother. Tragic, right? The irony of them going out trying to get these different groups of people only to come up against one of their own and delete her. Foul, right? A lot of people are calling this foul play, but a lot of people are saying, hey, the ICE agents were in the right. They're making it clear right here. Everybody can get got. No matter skin, no matter the creed, no matter the race, anybody. We willing to take out white folks out here. You know everybody else got to get in line if we willing to take out our own with this. Everybody else needs to act accordingly because we're willing to take it that far. Now, allegedly, this guy had some type of run-ins where he had stuck his hands in a car before and got dragged, right? That's what they're saying. So in my mind, automatically, I'm thinking, hey, if this happened to him in the past, he's not going for it again. But hey, we about to get in this video. Leave a like if you rock with it. If not, I completely understand. But it's the failed athlete, man. I don't mean you got to fail in life. Let's go.
Take out. Tensions over the killing of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer are growing by the minute, and now a debate over whether this disturbing video shows a wrongful shooting is playing out in public, with the White House squaring off against Minnesota leaders. In the video, you can clearly see the ICE officer fire his weapon, but was he under threat from the woman and her car? Did he?
Hell no. From initial look, this is my first time ever seeing this video. Of course not. His life doesn't look in danger. It looks like he could easily just back up, pull away, and get out of there. But the thing is, we do have to be sensitive to different elements right now. It's circumstantial. He may be thinking, hey, it's slippery, it's wet, I could fall, she could run me over, I could die. He's already traumatized. He's got pulled just a few months ago, pulled and dragged by putting his hands in the car. So you would think you would learn your lesson by just not doing that same act again. But no, he did the same act, but he said, this time I'm going to take lethal force. I'm traumatized. I'm not letting the same stuff happen to me like it happened before. Now, he might have not even known that this was a white woman. He may have not even known he was taking one of his own. But here's the thing. They know it's war. They know it's going to be some casualties. When Trump sent those guys out there to do what they do and rile everybody up, get these different groups together and get them in line, he knew, hey, it's some white folks that's going to have to go down behind this. And now you have the MAGA crowd like, well, damn, man, this isn't supposed to be happening. But the real MAGAs know. The real MAGAs know, hey, it's casualty in war, baby. This is what comes with this. But you have that side that bought into Trump, and they don't really want no violence. They brought into this whole narrative, and now they're getting picked off. But this is sending a message, a strong message. White folks, you need to get in line as well, because they're not playing with this NWO stuff. They're letting it be known right now, hey, we'll take you out. Now, it could have been a simple mistake. This is nuts right here, man. But Minnesota, you got all of these, you got this attention on these Somalis right now, and they're coming down hard on them. They're on go mode. They're on go mode. So if you testing them, it's kind of like they're putting you in the mind frame of being one of them. It doesn't matter if you're white right now. That white card isn't going anywhere right now, even with other white folks. Which is, I didn't think it would get to this point. But no, his life isn't threatened. She's going like freaking 2-3 miles per hour. No. Even if he was to slip and fall, maybe an injury, but you're not dying behind that. No, you're not dying. This is a white mother to a 6-year-old daughter. This is not a good look, man.
Follow law enforcement protocols. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, has repeatedly called Renee Good, the woman seen.
Look at this woman. Look at this woman pictured in front of this beach. Look at her, man. Don't she look peaceful? He snatched this woman's life, and I'm not standing for this savagery. We got to call out this violence, man. We got to call out this white on white violence. This is not cool. This is not acceptable. And I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not about to let these good white folk just go down in flames like this. Nah, man. Something's got to be said. This savagery got to stop. This is not okay.
Here who was killed a quote domestic terrorist, though we're still waiting for evidence of that. Today, Vice President J.D. Vance said this.
You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. This was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day.
Minnesota leaders say.
That sounds like when, if I was a white person, I would feel some type of way, because JD really just threw his people under the bus. The way he was describing that, you might have thought she was black. She might as well have been black, the way JD is describing this, man. She may as well have been black. That was something that I would hear him say if the victim was black. JD, come on, man. Yeah, this is causing a real divide between the white community, man. For real, this is...
The administration is rushing to place blame even before a full investigation has been conducted. Protesters
It feels very, very difficult that we would get a fair outcome. And I say that only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false.
Tonight, there are protesters in the streets.
Well, it's because you're not doing your job, you bum. So when Somalis are out there running willy-nilly and running all type of frauds and schemes and stealing hundreds of millions from your state, of course you're going to be looked at as a joke. You can't handle it. You can't handle your state. And now you're looking goofy amongst your white brethren. Excluded you out the group. You're no longer allowed, man. You're a joke. So of course people are going to look at you funny. Of course the federal government doesn't want to deal with you. You've already let your state go to shits, man.
Of the city lashing out over not just the shooting, but also over the presence of 1,500 ICE officers there. Lot to cover. We're going to begin our coverage tonight with Nicole Saganga, who has been on the ground since the shooting happened. Nicole, good to see you. What are we learning today about both the ICE officer and about the woman who was killed?
Yeah, CBS News has learned that the ICE agent involved in this fatal shooting was a member of ICE's Immigration Task Force, a special response team, and was an over 10-year veteran of ICE. Now, special response teams are...
And yeah, man, all jokes aside, RIP to that woman too. You don't want to see nobody lose their life. You don't want to see nobody get popped out here. Should she have, listen to the cops' orders? Yeah, You know, in hindsight, she would have her life. If she would have just stopped and chilled and didn't move, she would have had her life. And, you know, a lot of the times that's what you hear with a black narrative, man. It's like, hey, you should have just complied. You should have just did what they were telling you to do. You should have stopped resisting. Why did you continue to resist? They had to do what they had to do. And if we using that same logic, if we going by them same standards, then you got to call this fair. If we calling this down the middle. But if we looking at it from a humane standpoint, just on some human shit, like, bro, you didn't have to do that, bro. Your life wasn't in danger, bro. Nobody was looking to kill you that day, bro. Come on, bro. She was trying to get away. Come on. But he was so thirsty and so hungry for blood, seeing that this already happened to him before. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, when you in this line of work and you done already put yourself in situations, sometimes you say, hey, listen, I'm not going out like that. I don't give a damn who's across from me. You're not about to stop me from getting back home to my kids. Let's take race out of it for a second. Let's just say if you was in this position and this is the second, third time and you like, nah, F that. I'm not going for it. I'm asking you to stop. I'm asking you to obey. I'm an officer of the law. You're not taking heed to what I'm saying. You blatantly disrespecting me, disregarding the orders. Nah, it's time for war. Because now you put my life in danger if we just taking race out of it. Now, when we put race back in it, oh, Lord. You took America's pride. How do you off a white woman like that broad day? Car going about 4 miles an hour, man. And I'm not here caping. I'm not here putting on no cape. But this violence from that community that's been going unchecked. No, man. We got to call out this savagery, man. Because a lot of this stuff flies under the radar. But this is federal. So there was no way you was about to just throw this under the rug. No, this is federal, man. You guys got to do better. I don't condone this behavior. I condemn this behavior.
Given very advanced training. This is an agent who would have received over 280 hours of training in any given year. In addition to that, we know that this particular ICE agent last summer nearby St. Paul had been dragged by a suspect in a car ramming incident during an attempted arrest.
She said dude had how many hours of experience? Dude knew the protocol. He knew the rules. He's a vet, seasoned vet when it comes to this ish. Seasoned vet. You mean to tell me he didn't know what he was doing?
Went on to federal court there. We have seen the images in court documents, and while this case is barely 24 hours old, we're also learning a little bit more about Renee Good. She was a 37-year-old woman. She was the mother of a 6-year-old child. Neighbors describe her as being kind-hearted. Law enforcement told us that there is no indication that she was the target of any law enforcement operation. But we're still learning a little bit more about who she was. We also know that her partner was at the scene at the time of the incident.
Have we gotten any indication yet, Nicole, that she was anything that could be characterized as a domestic terrorist or a left-wing radical, as she's been described by members of the administration?
Yeah, I've been talking to law enforcement sources all day, Nancy. There is no indication at this time that this individual...
They trying to throw this woman under the rug, under the bus, and call her a terrorist, a domestic terrorist. That's what we doing now. Maybe she has some ties. Maybe she was a Russian spy. I don't,
Was anyone who can be explicitly tied to domestic terrorism or was a quote-unquote left-wing radical. We know that officers had asked Renee Good to get out of her vehicle and that she did not abide by those orders, instead pulling away. But That's the extent right now. And one thing that has been pointed out to me by several ICE officials, including I spoke to a former DHS counsel today, a former acting ICE director, the former director of HSI, all of them told me that what the Department of Homeland Security is doing right now, what DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is doing by coming out and saying definitively that this individual was a domestic terrorist, is actually undermining the credibility of this investigation. And we should point out that in cases like this, Nancy, state and federal agencies usually work through this investigative process together. And today, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension says that they were informed by the FBI that the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't wish to include them in the investigation. All of this further under...
Yeah, of course they don't want to include Minnesota. For one, Minnesota could find possible wrongdoings. You know, this is a federal agency, ICE. So if Minnesota finds wrongdoings, I mean, you know, they could bring that to the table, bring that to the public. The feds want to kind of end this thing, and they want this thing in their hands. The governor of Minnesota, he's shown that he's incompetent. He can't run a state properly. So why the hell you gonna be involved in this investigation? We don't care if you running your state. We don't want you involved. We don't need you involved, realistically, because we want to be able to control this whole situation. ICE want to be able to bury this. The feds want to be able to bury this. So they're gonna find this man, you know, not guilty. He was in fear of his life, and they're going to try to sweep this under the rug. But a lot of white people are frustrated, and I'm not done with this thing. A lot of people in general are frustrated, but white folks are mad at MAGA. They're mad at how JD Vance is reacting to this entire situation. He's not being sympathetic. He's showing no empathy. He's calling this woman a terrorist. People know damn well this just was a woman trying to probably escape, had a mental meltdown, and they took her out for that. Man, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this, man. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what the officer is telling you to do in that situation. Had you had maybe listened to what dude was saying, you may have still had your life. We gotta call a spade a spade. So I'm gonna be back with more of this content because they're protesting. And it's getting real slick right now. It's getting real spicy out there in Minnesota, man. So if y'all out there in Minnesota, you know, be safe. They own the Somali heads out there. They coming. Keep y'all head on a swivel out there in Minnesota, man. Hey, it's the failed athlete. That don't mean you got to fail in life.